Hey guys, welcome back. So we're gonna pick up where we kind of left off from our last podcast. We were talking about the DC universe, and a topic I wanted to talk about today. Actually, before I do that, I want to introduce. If you guys haven't heard our podcast before, my name is Gerry. I have here Gio. You want to introduce yourself as well?
Hey, what's going on? It's Gio. You already know.
We also have one of our members of the 6 Hour Review crew, Joe.
Just as a note, I am the best 6 Hour Review member. Thank you.
Yeah, right. All right. No, I'm just kidding. But hey, so we're going to talk about several different topics today. We're going to talk about Joker's box office, initial box office, at least for the first weekend, beating out Justice League. We're also going to talk about the MCU Phase 4, the movies that are coming out, the state of the MCU, the future of the MCU, and we're also going to talk about in our opinion, who's our top 3 directors of all time, and just a couple movies that they've made and movies that we are interested in that they like or that we like that they've made. So, starting off with the box office. Hey guys, also if you only come here for certain topics or you want to jump around, we do have timestamps in the description. So be on the lookout for those. So, like I said, we're going to start off with Joker and its box office. It made $96 million in its first weekend, compared to Justice League, which made $93 million. And this is what I was talking about last weekend, that the DCEU or DCU or whatever.
DCEU.
Well, I don't even think it's that. That's what I was saying.
Oh, the Joker itself?
No, Joker's not in.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, you're talking. Oh, okay.
Well,
But DC doesn't even want to.
Joe wasn't here last weekend.
Yes,
Obviously.
I was busy. Apologies.
He was out. It's all good. It's all good. So, what we were talking about last week was that the DCEU they've made a couple of successful movies.
Yes.
But overall, it's been a failure compared to Marvel. Correct?
Yes, I agree.
So the fact that a standalone Joker movie made more than Justice League,
and it's not even
goes
part
to
of the
show
same universe.
it's not even part of the same universe. It goes to show that they were doing things wrong.
Yeah,
they need to get it together. So that's my point of that I'm trying to bring out with this. That it's crazy that a Joker movie without Batman made more money than a movie with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. All these characters, The Flash, some of the most famous characters of all time. It's crazy.
Yeah, and
Gio, what do you think of it?
I can hear the argument that the news media made a big deal, because they do that. They do influence to a certain extent. There is a factor when the news outlets wants to say that this movie, promotes or glamorizes gun violence. This movie is bad. Do not take your children to this movie. All this negative publicity causes more people to want to go see it. Yes. But that, if you have that argument, that's not a big enough factor. Justice League should still have made way more money than this.
Yes, and for the people who complain about their kid, don't take your kid to see this movie, this and that, it is a rated R movie. That's like saying don't take your kid to go see Deadpool because it's filled with disgustingness. It is Deadpool. It is a rated R movie.
Yeah,
it's in the title.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously it's not a kids movie, and if you're somebody that is susceptible to these kind of things, or people that are susceptible, I think this kind of goes to what Joaquin Phoenix said, that a movie should not be the center of morality or teaching people morality. We should learn these things, in my opinion. And I don't want to get too political or talk about how to raise your family or your kids or anything, your views or anything. But a movie shouldn't dictate how you behave. Exactly, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So he made this movie. I feel like it was a great movie. Obviously, people love it as well because it's beating out Justice League. You know, so this is my opinion. Watch the movie. If you feel like it's too violent or glamorizes violence or it's not the movie for you, then just don't watch it. Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah, if you don't like things like that,
it just annoys me. It annoys me because there's so much more movies that have so much more
John
violence.
Wick just came out. Nobody was saying that.
Nobody says anything about how it glamorizes gun violence but this movie,
he's shooting everybody in the head, bro.
Someone killed their dog.
And in Joker, you have less than 5 deaths that you see on screen. Mm-hmm. You have one gun. It's just there's no violence. I'm sorry. there's a scene or two, but I wouldn't classify this movie as a violent movie, and that annoys me. And it's really because, you know, it's a story. It's something that you can sell in the news to people, and it's just it's ridiculous. It's a great movie. Everybody should watch it.
What I loved about the Joker is, and what I told people is, the Joker in the comic books, his insanity is on another level.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. He's full-fledged crazy, and it's like over the top. But in this movie, he is completely insane, but he's logically
It's
insane. Like, it makes sense that a human being
can
really be like this.
I think that's what the issue is. I think that they made the movie so well directed and the story so well thought of that it feels real. You kind of empathize, or you feel sympathy for this character, for this Joker character, and you feel like this could happen to somebody in real life, and it probably has happened. With all these mass shootings and everything, somebody has probably been, maybe not exactly to the point where this story's gone, but there's been instances where maybe somebody's been just beaten down in life,
and they snap.
And it could happen to anybody. So I think that's the point of the story, and I think that's why, just to play, be devil's advocate, I think that's why some people say it glamorizes violence, because even though there's more movies with more violence, the deaths that do happen in this movie feel real. It feels like they're more impactful. I know there was a scene. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen the movie, but there's a scene at the end of the movie that Joker kills somebody, and it felt real. I was like, oh, this is probably what people are talking about. I could see why it was very impactful. You could felt that he was coming from like a place of pain and hurt, and that influenced his decision to do what he did.
And also, that's when he became the Joker, and I loved every second of that, because that scene that you are referring to, that was the
build
Joker.
Up to the moment was like, you knew it was coming, you were waiting for it, and when it happened and they executed it,
it was perfect.
Like,
yes. Well done, and it deserves the money it made.
Absolutely,
for sure.
And Justice League.
Pretty much DC just needs to get it together and needs to make better movies.
Well, not DC. Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers needs to get their stuff together.
Because I think they did a good job with Shazam.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job with Aquaman. And Wonder Woman. They did a good job.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Their three most successful movies.
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to last week's podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm enjoying it very much. And with the new what's the next movie coming out? Is Wonder Woman, right?
No, Birds of Prey.
Oh, but even then, that movie looks, honestly, we're not going to get into that. Are we going to get into that?
We talked about it last week.
Oh, it's terrible. I'm not excited for this movie. Victor Zsasz, please. Black Mask, please. Don't even get me started on none of these characters.
Actually, Joe, I want to hear your take, because since you weren't here last week, I would like to hear your take on that.
I dig the hyenas, right? Because that's Hardy.
Yeah,
I do not. I love the man who's playing his Black Mask. What's his name?
Ewan McGregor?
Yes, I love him as an actor. I don't like that he didn't even have the mask on.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, yeah.
And when I first saw Victor Zsasz in the trailer, I didn't even know it was Victor Zsasz.
I didn't even know Victor Zsasz was in the movie until you mentioned it right now.
When I saw it on Instagram, on IGN, they had posted, who's who in the movie.
Yeah,
and when I saw who was Victor Zsasz and what he looked like, I honestly don't want to go to see this movie. Like, in the slight, like, not at all.
Not at all.
I don't want to see this movie at all.
I think we don't want to stay too long on that topic, because we talked about it last week. But what I was kind of saying last week was it pretty much just feels like a Harley Quinn movie. That's really the gist of it. It doesn't feel like a Birds of Prey. But Gio, do you have anything you want to add?
Nope. I am excited for Wonder Woman. I like the poster they have out.
Yeah, I mean,
comes out next year.
Out for a while now.
Yeah,
but still, I'm still excited for it. But yeah, let's move on. Again, we're going to talk about the MCU now. Phase 4. We're going to talk about the state of the MCU. Where do we think it should go? Where do we want it to go as fans? So MCU. I think the next movie that they're making is on that slate. Joe, you want to pull it up real quick? The slate for the MCU?
Yes.
Okay, so looking at the timeline, looks like the first movie coming out is going to be Black Widow. That's coming out in May 1st, 2020. So that one looks pretty interesting. I honestly didn't even think they were going to make a Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they're actually making one, and it's kind of a flashback movie, because
it's a prequel.
Spoiler, If you guys didn't know, she dies in Endgame. So she's technically not in the MCU anymore.
If you haven't seen Endgame, why are you watching or why are you listening to this podcast?
Exactly. But yeah, so she's having her movie in May.
Taskmaster is going to be
the villain,
which is pretty exciting.
Looks like we have a show too. The next thing they have lined up is the Winter Soldier and Falcon show. Jude, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so I'm this guy. You come out with a show, I'm gonna watch every show. All right, I'm gonna watch every episode. You come out with a show alongside another show like Flash and Arrow did.
Same universe, kind of.
I'm going to pause what I'm watching and catch up with the other one. I did it with Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow. I fear, that took a lot of my time. I fear when they start streaming these Phase 4 shows, shows don't last one season. They last seasons.
Yeah.
With Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage.
Well, the other shows that are coming out are WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye.
What If, which is a cartoon, which doesn't have to do...
It's like a What If series.
It's a What If series.
I'm most likely going to sit there and watch all these shows.
I believe that these shows are kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that have to do...
Yeah, the universe.
And they're probably going to be even more important now because they are the characters.
The actual thing. So, am I excited about this particular show, The Falcon and Winter Soldier? No. Because I felt like Winter Soldier should have donned the shield. That's just me.
There's a logic to it.
Well, yeah, I get it, and Falcon does.
Let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about
how spoilers for Avengers Endgame if you guys haven't seen it.
All of them.
Let's
all
talk
the spoilers.
About how Winter Soldier didn't get the shield because he's still a wanted criminal.
Right? No, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I am upset about Falcon getting the shield because if you've seen Avengers Endgame, there's a scene where Captain America's fighting Thanos. And Thanos throws Captain America through a boulder. Now, if Falcon is holding this shield and gets thrown through the boulder, he is going to die.
He's a regular guy.
Because he is a regular guy.
Yeah, he's a regular human, no superpowers, nothing. Winter Soldier, he has the serum.
Yeah, he can take the hit.
And that's one of the biggest. I get it. Falcon does don the shield for a little bit in the comics. I'm not mad. Like I just feel like
accurate.
if you had, it's accurate. But if you have the one with the serum, like Joe was saying, and the human that can easily be snapped in two, who are you gonna pick?
Yeah,
I agree. I think though the reason why they had to go with Falcon is because, like Joe was saying, is that Winter Soldier has his criminal background, so he's a wanted criminal.
Yeah,
even though he saved the world, he's a wanted criminal.
Yeah. On
top of that, Captain America, the name of Captain America is truth, justice, kind of like a Superman character. He's like truth, justice, honesty. He's a model citizen. So you don't want to have a criminal donning the Captain America suit.
But he does.
I know he does. But at least in this universe, it would be weird if he did. Only because
of the
he'd be
situation
selling.
that he's in.
Yeah, he'd be selling Captain America.
And I believe that they're pushing towards Winter Soldier becoming the White Tiger, which is in Black Panther. Because at the end of Black Panther,
they're saying that.
Yeah, the kids are chanting White Tiger at him, which is in the comic books. I believe it's Black Panther's brother or cousin that becomes the White Tiger, but they switched it up and are making Bucky.
Gotcha. Well, these shows, they should be interesting. A little information you can get about Joe, or actually Gio. I'm sorry. Gio's more of a completionist. That's why I think he's saying he's going to have an issue with 5 shows coming out around the same time.
Yeah,
is that correct?
That is 100% accurate. So I am going to end up watching all of these. I'm going to end up getting the Disney Plus just so I can see them all in order when they come out, which is annoying, but I have to.
I don't think the Loki show is going to be relevant.
Yeah, but
You'd be surprised.
I'd be upset if it is relevant.
I don't know.
I was upset that when they had announced that they were making a Loki show, Avengers Endgame hadn't come out. Infinity War had already come out. Loki was considered dead. I was upset because I wanted Loki to stay dead. Everybody loves Loki, but the guy needs to die. It's like Glenn in The Walking Dead. He died 5 times, and he needed to stay dead.
Yes.
Spoilers for Walking Dead.
Just spoilers for it all. Okay,
Everything.
if you're not caught up with the world.
So my thing is like when they, as soon as in Avengers Endgame, when the whole Tesseract thing happened and he grabbed it and disappeared, I was like, okay, I guess that's fine. It's an explanation of why he's still around. However, I want him to stay in the show and him just be in the show and not come back.
Kind of like actually what they could do, if I was gonna try to pitch a writing or a script, what happened between Thor 1 and Thor 2, or the next time he appears. This
is the thing. The thing is that, remember, now with this Loki show, even if they brought it back into the MCU movies, this is gonna be a different version of Loki. It's not gonna be the Loki. He's gonna be bad because this Loki at the end of Infinity
Avengers.
War, or at the beginning of Infinity War, he was pretty much a good guy, honestly.
Yeah,
because
but
he kind of turned. He turned good.
Yeah,
then he
that's
died.
right.
But then this version
It's
is going
Endgame.
wrong.
It's honestly like prime bad Loki.
I didn't even realize that. Because of the events that happened in Endgame, Loki is alive.
Yeah, and he's bad Loki.
And he's bad Loki.
Because they never did that.
And that's why I want to segue into one of the next movies that they're going to make. Well, they're going to make Shang-Chi. That's going to be interesting. I don't really know too much about Shang-Chi, so I don't want to, touch on that too much because I don't want to get anything wrong. Eternals is also coming out as well. That's coming out on November 6th, 2020. I don't know too much about the Eternals, honestly. I'll have to do a little more research. I'll get back to you guys about that. But I do want to talk about the Doctor Strange movie and the what is it? The Multiverse of Madness. I think this one's going to be really interesting. I wasn't really a big fan of the first Doctor Strange movie. It was all right.
Did you think it was better than Black Panther?
No.
What?
No.
I'd rather Doctor Strange over Black Panther.
No. I like Black Panther.
I believe you are wrong.
Me?
Yes, you.
I prefer Doctor Strange over
Black Panther was amazing.
No. Don't get me wrong. I like Black Panther, but I enjoyed Doctor Strange one.
All right.
Well, anyways, I feel like this is going to be interesting because this can introduce so many different concepts and so many different universes. Obviously, in the movie, or the name of the movie, the Multiverse of Madness. Who knows what it could bring in? It could bring in the X-Men, possibly, because now Disney has the rights to them. Yeah. It could bring in, obviously you have Spider-Man. He could, something could happen with Spider-Man. It could bring in different Spider-Man. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? It's the Multiverse of Madness.
And he is not only the main character, Scarlet Witch is also the main character.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Do you know who the bad guy is?
I have no idea.
The bad guy is, okay, so this movie is said to be considered, I don't know if it's rumored or it's going to happen, it's considered to be a horror movie.
Right.
And
awesome.
That's because the bad guy is a man named Nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
He's basically a Freddy Krueger. He, comes at you in your dreams, haunts you in your dreams, and kills you in your dreams, and that's what he does. He is like the Freddy Krueger of the MCU.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, so that's why this is interesting. You never know what could happen, what could change with the whole MCU. This could be something like, I wouldn't say Avenger level, but it could be a game changer in terms of what happens for the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like moving forward, because so many possibilities can be opened up with this movie. So I'm really excited to see this, and like Joe was saying, this is a first horror movie. So I'm also excited to see that and see Marvel's take on that. Gio, you have any opinions, or you have any thoughts in this movie?
Honestly, I also read, yes, it's going to be a horror. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this movie.
That's my only opinion.
What I do hope to see in this movie is this guy from the first Doctor Strange, the one that eventually turns bad, the one.
Mordo,
his teacher.
What's his name?
Teacher.
I can't remember his name right now.
I can't think of his name right now. But he disappeared at the end of Doctor Strange, and
that's actually like his main villain. In the comics,
and he hasn't shown up yet. So I'm hoping he shows up in the Multiverse of Madness.
He might be Mordor.
Something. No, Mordor.
No, Mordor is the big guy.
Well, it's something close to that.
It's not one of them.
Yeah. But yeah, that's obviously going to be a really interesting one. And then we have Thor: Love and Thunder. That's the next one coming out. It's coming out November 5th, 2021. Mm-hmm. So actually exactly a year after the Eternals. So that's going to be interesting too, because this is Thor's fourth movie. He's the only one that has a fourth movie.
Yes.
Who would have thought, right? You would have thought Iron Man or maybe Captain America would have had one.
I really feel like, okay, it's going to be his fourth movie, but
really it's going to be Natalie Portman's movie.
I think he's going to have a big role though in, and I don't know if this is already debunked, Guardians of the Galaxy.
as Guardians of the Galaxy, he has to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
The way Avengers ended.
The way Avengers ended, like he's going to be there. And he said it, he said as Guardians of the Galaxy. And as Guardians of the Galaxy is a actual comic book.
Interesting. Yeah. How do you guys feel about this whole Natalie Portman being Lady Thor?
Ooh. I mean, like, I always wanted to see her back, and when she came back in Endgame, which really she didn't, because the scene with Rocket, that was a deleted scene from the original Thor movie, or Thor 2.
Dark World.
Yeah, Dark World. That was a deleted scene from it, and they just added Rocket into the scene. She was never there.
I thought she was.
No.
A couple of scenes. I think she was on set, at least. Natalie Portman for Endgame. I don't know. We're gonna have to see the.
We'll have to get back to you guys on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, my opinion on this, I'm trying. Honestly, want to see where the story's gonna go. I don't even know where this story's gonna go at this point.
I have no idea.
Because I kind of feel like Thor's story could be done.
So, according to the comics, the reason why, or not the reason why, but Lady Thor happens because but Jane Foster has cancer.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
She's dying, and I don't know, she's worthy of the powers of Thor, right? She gets Mjolnir, and she becomes Thor. I do remember that everybody's trying to figure out who the heck is the new Thor. Yeah. Right? Like, everybody's like, yo, who's this? I think she is definitely skinny enough to look like a cancer patient, honestly.
Yeah.
She really is.
Played a role in a movie where she kind of was. I feel like she's
possibly, but she definitely fits the part now. Well, actually, she fits the human part now.
She's got to bulk up.
But she's got to bulk up.
I don't think they're going to go that way.
You don't think they're going to make her sick?
No, they already made her sick in part 2.
You're right.
Oh, yeah, with the ether.
But we'd like to forget about part 2, don't we?
Yeah, of course, But
those are the dark days of the MCU. The dark times.
I don't know if they're going to go with that story, but that's kind of what happens in the comic books.
Well, I guess we'll see. We'll have to wait and see with the story. Like I said, I feel like Thor's story in the MCU is pretty much done. Yeah, honestly, I don't know what else they could do with him besides rehashing old stories. Yeah. But I think this would be his last one. But yeah, enough with that one. Let's talk about the one we're most excited for. Well, at least Joe is Blade.
Super excited.
You want to talk about that one a little bit?
Yes, I do want to talk about Blade. When they had announced the who's going to be portraying Blade, I was beyond excited because the actor, I'm looking for his name now. When Mahershala Ali first started coming out in movies, he started coming out in quite a few movies. He was Cottonmouth in Luke Cage. He had come out in Green Book. He had come out. He was popping up in.
He's the new. He's Blade.
He's Blade.
Yeah. I could see him doing
exactly. When I had seen him before, I was talking to my mother one day, and I had told her, and I was like, if they ever made a Blade movie, I feel like he'd be a really good fit. He'd just have to bulk up a little bit, but I feel like he's doing a good job and coming out in a lot of movies and playing good roles and being a good actor. So when they had announced him being Blade, I was like, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect casting, honestly.
Exactly. So I'm really excited for the upcoming Blade movie, and I'd like to see where they go and if they're going to I'm not sure if he's going to be added into the MCU. Like, is he going to be in the MCU, or is it going to be its own
I don't think so. I think
this is Phase 4.
Yeah,
it is Phase 4, and on top of that, I think that with this whole multiverse of madness, who knows how that would affect, because that comes before this movie.
Yeah.
And the Eternals also comes before, and I'm hearing that with the Eternals, it's going to somehow introduce X-Men, or like that, like kind of sprinkling the idea of the X-Men or Fantastic Four. So you never know how these movies are going to affect the other ones. It's the MCU, everything is tied in. My thing with Blade is that, the original Blade movies with Wesley Snipes, they're very violent.
Yeah, very violent.
How violent is this movie going to be?
I hope it's very.
I don't think it will be.
It's Disney, though.
It's Disney.
It's PG-13. Like, they're not going to be cutting people's heads off.
No, but they can...
I don't see blood and gore. Because I disagree with people who are like, oh, I want to see a rated R movie just for the language. But obviously, they don't need language.
Disney also said that they were going to keep, movies like Logan and stuff going. They want to continue to make movies like that. And
yeah, we'll see.
And if they bring I hope they do. I hope they. I mean, I'm not saying I want it to be rated R, but I'd like to see some blood.
No, I would like it to be rated R, but not. It's just what stinks is what I was saying is when the director or whatever, they get the green light to make a rated R film, they go ahead and take advantage and drop so many F-bombs and it kind of takes away from the movie. Logan, it was appropriate. Deadpool, absolutely. But there are movies where you don't need that, but please give me the gore, give me the violence, give me the blood.
Exactly.
So if they can do that, if they could be mature about it without throwing nudity in it, you know.
Being too extra about it.
I think, though, you're not going to see too much blood because at the end of the day, you could have a movie rated R just for violence alone and blood and gore and all.
Yes,
that.
you can.
With even if it's clean with language and clean with there's no nudity or sexuality or anything, just with violence alone it could be rated R. So I don't think we're going to see too much. Even with Deadpool, they're thinking about either bringing him into the MCU and rebooting him. At least this is what I'm hearing. Or if they keep him as Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds, keep him outside of the MCU.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I'd rather them do that.
And it would be under the Fox logo still, because since they own Fox, at least that their movie division, they could still keep him under the Fox logo.
Yeah.
So he'd be outside of the MCU because they don't want that type of violence and that kind of language and everything in their movies because this is Disney, it's a family company.
However, they can have him separate, and they made a Deadpool 2 PG-13. And they babied it out a bit. And whenever he decides to join the Avengers or join Spider-Man, he babies out. And he knows that it's Deadpool. He can break the fourth wall, understand where he's at, and keep it together.
And they could joke about
exactly, and joke about it. And they can do it.
They could do that.
They could literally bleep stuff out.
Yeah, exactly.
Or let's make it like when, on camera when you have it blurred out.
Exactly.
Just to be funny about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a Disney movie. We don't show that stuff.
Or like he gets cut off in the middle of a sentence. Like what the mouse.
Yo, even
you know.
You remember at the end of Spider-Man?
The mouse is stopping.
Okay, this is a spoiler. At the end of Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
When they reveal who Spider-Man, that Peter Parker Spider-Man, he's like, "What the?" And even at the end of Homecoming, he's like, "What the?" Both times.
And Samuel Jackson, and when he's getting dusted away, he's like, "Mother," and then he dusts away.
Yeah.
They can do that. They've done it before. They've done it before.
Figure it out.
So, yeah.
But yeah, that's the Phase 4 of the MCU. I think we're pretty excited. You know what I noticed? There's no Avengers movie at the end of Phase 4.
Yes.
I didn't see one.
No. Yeah, I'm saying yes.
I wonder what's going to happen. Are they just not going to have an Avengers movie and then just go into Phase 5?
I believe in Phase 5 they're coming out with the New Avengers. And it's going to be titled The New Avengers, I believe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I can see that because now they have to rebuild.
The Avengers.
They have to rebuild because you don't have Robert Downey Jr. anymore. You don't have Chris Evans anymore.
And they can't rebuild without Spider-Man.
You think Spider-Man's going to be the leader of the New Avengers?
What do you mean? Have you seen Far From Home?
I think he should.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
They can't rebuild without Spider-Man, which is I'm glad that Tom Holland grabbed the CEO of Disney and the chairman of Sony and sat them down and talked some sense into them in making more movies. So I hope that they continue to do it because without Spider-Man, the way they let off right after Endgame with Far From Home, you have to.
Yeah, I agree. And they kind of in Far From Home they were kind of touting him as the next Tony Stark,
they weren't talking
the next Iron Man.
He is.
And they gave him something really important. I think they kind of did that. I think that was done on purpose by Disney to kind of make Spider-Man, or at least that version of Spider-Man, feel forced to be in the MCU.
Exactly,
because he's so important. You can't take him out. You can't just pretend he doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I think that's where they came to the table and they agreed on a deal, even if it's only for 2 movies.
They only did that with 2 people. They did that with Rhodey, and they did that with the Hulk.
Yeah.
But really, they didn't matter like that.
They're not Avengers level characters that are A-list.
I mean, the Hulk is now, but a lot of people don't even realize that Edward Norton's Hulk is
part of the MCU.
Part of the MCU.
That's crazy. Yeah, because his Thunderbolt Ross came out in Civil War.
Yeah, and I Iron Man, like Tony Stark came out at the end of the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
he was there.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I have a question for you guys. I just want to know what, your opinion on it, because we're gonna transition into the state of the MCU in terms of overall excitement. I don't feel. I know because we're coming off of Phase 3. Phase 3 was so huge. It was 10 years in the making in terms of, this whole storyline of Endgame and everything and Thanos and all that, Iron Man's story and Captain America's storyline coming to an end. That was huge. So there was a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. Endgame is the highest grossing movie of all time.
Because they cheated.
Kind of.
However, it's all...
But it still is. It's still number one.
Yes, and Avatar and them are owned by the same people, so really...
It doesn't matter at this point. Yeah. But my point is this. Do you guys feel... Like, just on your everyday, talking to your friends, talking to your coworkers, just, people around town, do you feel like there's the same level of excitement with these new movies coming out?
No.
Right?
Not at all.
Do you feel like it... This is a question that I kind of ask myself. Do you feel like, is it like a new phase in terms of like it has to start over and rebuild that buzz?
Yes.
Like if it's Phase 1 all over again?
I don't know. The thing is, I'm not excited for the phase per se. I'm just excited for the individual movies, just as a movie, rather than them connecting and one having to do with the other. I'm not too excited for the plot of the full picture. I'm just excited for the plot of the individual pictures.
This is, in my mind, this is my comparison. This is like the iPhone S series. There's the iPhone 10, for example, and there's a 10S. This is like the iPhone 10S, or like this is like the iPhone 10S of the phases. Because like you just had a great iPhone, right? Or you had the great Phase 3, and then you're gonna kind of have, it's all right. It's not as good as what it was. It's kind of the same thing, or it's kind of like you're kind of rebuilding that buzz again.
And they came out with the XR, which is basically the 8 without a button.
Exactly. So this is how I feel about it. But Gio, what do you think? What do you think about the state of the MCU?
As of right now, I'm not excited for pretty much. How do I word it?
Like I do.
Well, I'm gonna try to word it better. So you take a show. A great show, The Walking Dead, in my opinion. And then you keep going.
Up to the 7th season.
And then you keep going and going, and then you make too many seasons, right?
I thought
you
they were
take.
done. They
So you
just
think there's
announced
fatigue?
that they're coming out with another season.
MCU fatigue?
Yeah, honestly, I'm excited for the next Spider-Man. I'm glad that the Spider-Man scare is over. I want to see that movie. There are movies that I do want to see. However, am I sitting there trying to like? I don't have the same excitement. Supernatural, first 5 seasons, genius. After that, you can tell you're just getting paid at this point. You're just trying to dish out stories, and it's not going to be the same. I don't think any new Avengers or any new team build-up is ever going to be the same. Endgame ended it.
Okay. I agree. I agree to a certain extent. I feel like it's not going to be the same buzz, but I think it's going to be kind of like we have to. They're not starting from scratch because we already have that name recognition of Marvel, and we know that Kevin Feige is going to produce great movies.
We know the potential.
We know there's going to be potential, but I feel like we have to. We're starting almost not from scratch, but we're starting over.
Yeah.
We're starting over in terms of new characters, even though there's some of the old characters back, like Thor and Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. They're coming back. Black Panther's coming back as well, obviously. But there's also new characters that are coming in, Shang-Chi, and there's just, a couple of new characters that are coming out. There's possibly a Fantastic Four movie coming out. If you guys didn't know, they're trying to introduce X-Men possibly. So I feel like it's going to take a little bit so to get used to, getting used to these new characters, understanding these new characters, see where they're at, see what they're about, and then moving forward. So I don't think Phase 4 is going to be huge, per se, in terms of box office. But I think maybe Phase 5 will. And I think that's why there's no Avengers movie in this one.
And I think it'll do well if they introduce X-Men in the perfect way, if they introduce Fantastic Four in the perfect way. If they do that correctly, then I'll be excited. If they do it the right way, and if, how do I say this? Like, the next Wolverine, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And to pick...
in the MCU.
In the MCU. And it not being Hugh Jackman. Like, being a new Wolverine. I'm okay with there being a new Wolverine.
Yeah.
He's been there for so long. Like, I'm okay with seeing a new one. The thing is, are you going to do it right? Are you going to do these new X-Men right? Are you going to introduce them smoothly? Is the transition going to be good? If the transition is good, bringing in the X-Men, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think at this point we can't question Marvel until they have a couple bad movies in a row. I don't think at this point we can kind of we can't doubt them. They've had too many good movies. They've had too much success. They've done so many things that we wouldn't even think were possible. So I don't doubt them at this point. I think they can do it. It's just going to take a little bit of time for us to adjust to these new characters and adjust to these new actors. But yeah, I do want to transition into the future of the MCU. I want to know, where do you guys think the MCU is going?
I have no idea.
You have no idea, right?
I have no clue.
That's what I'm saying. These movies are so different. They're all individual movies. Seem like they're interesting, but it's so different that I wonder where this is all going. And obviously, Kevin Feige already has it planned out 5 years in advance. He's already said it. So I trust him to make the right decision, but I just don't know where it's going. I think that's part of the reason why there's not as much buzz.
Yeah, and honestly, Kevin Feige and the whole team, everybody has been amazing, but I still fear you do something too much. You run out of stories to tell, and now you're just doing it to just make money. It kind of puts a blemish on the quality, because hey, make another movie, hey, make another season.
But Iron Man 1, great. Thor 1, great. Iron Man 2, trash. Iron Man 3, trash. Thor 2, trash. They had their ups and downs. They started off good, had a rocky moment in the middle, and then finished strong.
Sure.
So with what they're going to do with these new movies, you don't know. It can be real bad in the beginning and just escalate to greatness. It could be great in the beginning. It can go down and then come back up. You don't know. But I do feel like they're going to do a good job, because they've learned with their first, this now that this era is over, since they've learned so much with this era of what's right and what's wrong, they're going to know what to do. They're going to have a better idea of what to do.
Possibly. Now they're introducing shows.
Yeah.
So they learned, but then at the same time they're introducing something they haven't been in, because the only show that they really tried was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which had its ups and downs. I like the later seasons.
Yeah.
And the one that failed right out of the gate, out of episode 1.
Inhumans.
Inhumans.
Oh yes. However, when they first introduced Inhumans, it was introduced as a movie, and then they switched it up and made it a show.
But you also got to remember that these are network shows. These are ABC shows.
Yeah.
Even though it's part of the MCU, they're ABC shows. It's Disney Plus. They have a different budget.
Their budget is almost as equal to their movies.
Correct. So I think
HBO.
the quality. I think the quality is
HBO.
different.
It's gonna be like a Netflix movie, like HBO movie. It's gonna be top notch.
Hopefully. I don't know.
Well, I think the future's bright, but for right now, it's going to be a little tough.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, anyways, we're gonna segue into something a little bit different. We're gonna talk about, in our opinion, top 3 directors of all time for each of us. We're also gonna give a couple examples of just movies that we love. They're not. I wouldn't say they're not the top 3 movies of these directors, but just movies that we enjoy from these directors.
Yeah.
So, Gio, did you want to start off with your 3?
All right. So, question: are we gonna do all 3, or are we gonna do 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1?
We could do 3. Just do the 3.
Yeah,
all 3. All right. Well, then, not in any particular order, but definitely not my number 1 pick. The first director I have to mention, Ava DuVernay, or DuVernay. DuVernay. I love her. Honestly, and it's because she doesn't have a lot of work out there. And the work that she does, obviously, she handpicks her. You could tell the perspective of African American views and stuff. Selma was great. Not just a great movie. The way it was directed, you can tell that the actors were comfortable. You can tell the shots. It wasn't just like, oh, here's a good story or here's a good script or whatever the case may be. here's a good point of view. Let me go ahead and push this, and that's it. No, she was on ground. She was there. She really brought. I feel like if anybody else had done Selma, it wouldn't have been brought in that light. I mean, as far as where the shots were from, and honestly, I know she had a heavy hand in the feeling that was portrayed by these actors. Now, I'm talking about famous actors, so that doesn't really give too much credit because you have Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie, which he's not in that one, but you have Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie. Okay, great, the director's going to look good because the actor's good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to When They See Us. It's a show, no famous actors.
I've heard good things about that show.
Yeah. It's a great show.
Oh, she's a director? I didn't know that.
She's the director of When They See Us. And so that's why I have to choose her. Because, yes, with the budget and with the acting power and all that, she's great. But then also, when you turn down the budget and you don't have the best actors.
She's still great.
She's still great. Her product is still masterful. Next, Steven Spielberg. It's an easy one. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it.
He's the GOAT.
It's real easy. Honestly, you got Jurassic Park. You got Close Encounters of the Third Kind. One of my all-time favorites. You have Saving Private Ryan. With Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's my
actually, there's a lot of actors in that one. Steven Spielberg. Everybody knows it. It doesn't matter if you're 3 or 93. You've heard his name. You've seen his movies, and you enjoy it. So that's an easy one. I'm not going to touch too much on it. My number 1, and I'm probably going to mess up his last name, Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese.
Yes,
sir.
Yeah,
he's under a lot of fire right now.
Yeah, his comments.
Yeah.
Well, we're just looking at the directing, right? We're just looking at his work, all right. Not his views. You got, I'm going to mention 4 movies here. And actually, 3 of them are in my top 5 movies.
Of all time?
Of all time.
Interesting.
You got Raging Bull. You got Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah. Those are good movies.
You got Wolf of Wall Street.
Great movie.
And you got The Departed.
Love that movie.
Movie. And if you just look at his filmography, the work he does, and it's not just...
Bro, look at him pull out the dictionary, the filmography.
Yeah,
this guy.
The word cinematography.
Yo, this guy.
Never heard someone.
I'm sorry. I'm a little passionate about it. I do apologize. But yeah, no, it's not just great stories. These movies aren't just with great actors, but like when you saw Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's sitting there talking to just
Jack Nicholson
with the blood all over his hands.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And a director's job is to bring the page to life. So that's his mind saying, you know what, I want this. This is how I want it to see. This is how I want the audience to see it. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely my number 1.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast. He's one of the all-time greats.
There you go. Look, I'm done talking. Those are my 3.
You want to give us your top 3?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Well, when we were doing our top 3s, my brother Gia cheated and he copied.
Oh, that's what happened?
Yep. So
I didn't even realize.
No particular order. Actually, to be honest with you, I haven't decided my 3rd. I've been really looking into it, so I'm going to give you 2 today. But on our next podcast, I will give you my 3rd.
Oh, it's the 3rd one.
Oh, there's a next podcast?
There always will be.
All right,
cool.
We're here forever.
Oh, okay.
Till we die.
Done.
Steven Spielberg is also there. Yes, Ready Player One, I thought was an amazing movie. You named... What did you name?
Jurassic Park, Close Encounter.
He has Jaws, he has E.T., he has Back to the Future, he has Indiana Jones, he has Minority Report with Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Which is great. He has Gremlins, Super 8. All fantastic movies. So, obviously, he's going to be in my top 3. My other one is Quentin Tarantino.
Beast.
I love his movies. I really liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Gio disagrees.
You didn't like it? I didn't get to see that one with you guys.
It's just There
you don't want to
was
give too much because we
it was
have
random.
We have their
There was no story, there was no plot, and it was random, and I loved it.
No, I do feel, and yeah, I mean, we're not going to get into it, but I just to throw it out there, I do feel like the hype was behind it because of his name.
But it's not my top 3 movies of like his movies. I just
just examples.
There's a hype.
Just so you guys know, we have our YouTube channel. If you guys didn't know, for our new viewers or listeners, so we have that review on our channel. If you guys want to know Gio and Joe's opinion on it, so check us out, subscribe, like. Please do that. We'd appreciate it.
All right.
But yeah, you said okay. Your third one.
My third is not here. Yeah, but Quentin Tarantino, favorite movie from him, Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, I love that movie.
Arrivederci. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's on Netflix.
Christoph Waltz. That was like his in the beginning. That scene with him.
Oh my god!
When he's hunting the Jews. Bro, that scene was so intense, bro.
I'm a big fan of Nazi movies, and I feel like most Nazi movies. The Nazis. I feel like most Nazi movies usually are based off a true story or based off of real life events, and this is one of the very few that are not.
It's like a what if kind of story.
It's a what if. It's its own made up story, and it is fantastic. It's
awesome.
on Netflix. If you haven't seen it,
if you haven't seen it, what are you doing?
I know that movie's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
All right, well, I'm gonna give my 3. I'm surprised you guys didn't even mention this guy. This is blasphemy. Honestly, you guys didn't mention Christopher Nolan. How do you guys? What?
I mean, you got the Dark Knight, but
bro, Inception, Interstellar. Come on,
okay.
bro.
Well, let's stop with Interstellar for a second. Let's reverse for Interstellar. Interstellar was a good movie, but I wouldn't be like, ooh, Interstellar.
Look, there was a lot of innovation in that movie.
It was good, but like it had nice like visuals.
It had a good story, bro.
No, yeah, but
it's a story that makes you think. I like movies that make you think. That's my type of movie.
Predestination. Watch it.
No,
Ethan Hawke's movie's crazy. Time travel.
Gotta see that one,
bro. Watch it.
I agree with you with Christopher Nolan.
He's right now. He's one of the best directors.
What has he done recent?
What hasn't he done recently?
What are you talking about?
No. What I mean recently, I mean within the last
2 years,
3 years.
Bro, he made Dunkirk. That's his last movie. He's making a new one called Tenet. That looks interesting. I really am trying to figure out what it's about through the trailer. But you know how he's very vague in his trailers because he wants you to enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
But he's made great movies, man. Like I said, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Dark Knight obviously is one of the best movies of all time. Inception. One of my favorite movies of all time, The Prestige. That movie, for me, was... When I first saw the movie, that movie blew my mind.
It was mind-blowing.
Yeah, because like it was so crazy, especially the ending. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but the ending was crazy.
I mean, we spoiled everything else, but that's fine. Prestige, that was made in 2006, is off limits.
It's off limits. It's off limits. Watch that movie. I don't want to ruin it for you guys. Watch the movie if you haven't seen it.
I'm done.
Anyways, I think we all mentioned this one, Steven Spielberg. Of course. In my opinion, he's a GOAT. Because he's just done so many different movies in so many different categories. He's done horror. He's done franchise movies. He's done, just... like creative, just movies. He's done dramas. One of my favorite movies of his is Catch Me If You Can. It's just it's about a true life story. Mm-hmm. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. Tom Hanks is in it.
That movie's so good.
That's one of the best movies. Like, I remember when I saw the movie, I was like a teenager. So, like when you're a teenager, you're more mature. Yeah. Even back then when I was a teenager, I love this movie.
It made me want to commit fraud.
Yeah, I was like, this movie is so awesome. It's so genius. It just had a great cast. Obviously, it was directed perfectly by Steven Spielberg. This is just one of the great movies of all time. Yeah. And then one of my favorite movies of all time, Saving Private Ryan. Yes. I didn't even know how many famous actors were in that movie until I grew up and I'm like, oh crap, Vin Diesel's in here. Everybody, Tom Hanks is in this movie. All these people are like, what? There's so many people.
Matthew McConaughey in that movie?
Matt Damon is.
Matt Damon's in the movie.
Matthew McConaughey is in The Sniper?
No.
Who's the sniper? It's the other blonde guy.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, but they do have a lot of...
He made Indiana Jones. These are like some of the most famous movies of all time. Some of the best movies of all time. He's made so many franchise movies that we mentioned before. I don't want to go into that again. But one of the directors that you guys didn't mention, this is my third one, is Ridley Scott. He's made some really good movies. Yep. And for me, I know he's probably not the best director of all time, but for me, it's just movies that I guess growing up, I used to watch with my family, and as a family, I guess maybe more nostalgia than anything. But like Gladiator, I used to watch with my dad all the time. He loved that movie. And I love that movie. Like, who doesn't love Gladiator? If you don't like Gladiator, just stop. Just go away. And then, like I said, I like movies that make you think, or movies that are like have interesting concepts. So even though this is probably not his best movie, but I still like Prometheus. That's a really interesting movie. I feel like them tying it in with Aliens kind of ruined it. I kind of felt like I kind of wish it was his own thing, or maybe
or tying it in with Aliens better.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
In a better way.
I didn't like that.
I like the potential of Prometheus.
I like how it looked.
Yeah, and it looked visually was awesome. But there was some things with the script and some things with the story that were kind of off. But I just like the concept. I think he's a really good he has really good concepts. Maybe sometimes his execution is off, but he does have really good concepts which I like. And obviously, one of his best movies of all time is The Martian with Matt Damon. That's an awesome movie.
Yeah, that one was.
That was a great movie.
That was good.
So those are my top 3. Hopefully, this gave you a little bit of insight into who we are, what kind of movies we enjoy, and what we look for in a movie. But hey, guys, I think that's it for tonight or for today. I don't want to keep going for too long. We've been going on long enough. But guys, this is Joe's first podcast. So, Joe, you want to say any last words before we go?
I love you all.
There it is,
guys. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Subscribe to this. We're on Castbox. We're on Apple, the Apple iTunes,
and Apple Podcasts. We are also we do upload these podcasts onto YouTube as well.
Yeah,
so you
on
can
our channel.
If you have
6-hour reviews.
If you're just gonna stream it, you could just press play and go to it. We have the Facebook, we have the Instagram. We're trying to make as many ways as we can to communicate with you, to give you our opinions, our views, but also more importantly, get yours. So if you want to send us a message, if you want to leave comments, please do, because it's important to us. We want to have these conversations, and it's not a one-way conversation. All right. So thank you so much for everything you do.
We appreciate it, guys. Again, thank you for listening in. We appreciate it, and check you out the next time.